this microphone. Uh, but either way, guys, I hope everyone's doing this evening. Calvin Russell here, credit specialist for the 80/20 podcast, giving you guys late night information on tonight. So, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and bring Instagram in. So, we'll get you guys going in that platform there. And give me a second here because tonight we're going to actually be talking about a credit mix and really the truth about a credit mix and why it's important. Okay. So hang in there with me. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of time to kind of catch up to us. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Okay. There we go. And why it matters. Perfect. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so we got Instagram coming on board. So we'll go ahead and get you guys. And of course, if anyone has any questions, we're going to get those answered as well tonight here too. Okay. So first things first. First off, of course, welcome tonight. I'm going to go straight into it. So first off, what mix? So a credit mix is 10% of what makes your credit score. Okay. As we all know, the largest percentage of what makes your credit score is going to be payment history. Okay. 35% of your credit is made from credit, just your payment history alone. Okay. So that is the most important factor. The next factor is going to be utilization. Okay. That's 30% of what makes your credit score. Okay. And then, of course, you're going to have the types of credit that's on your account. And then, of course, you're going to have how long accounts have been open. And then, but the final piece, because those make about 90%. 10% of what makes your credit score is going to be the type of accounts that you guys have, also known as your credit mix. Okay. Now, a credit mix, for those who don't know, that essentially means the types of accounts that you have, but you have to have a certain amount of accounts or certain types of accounts. Okay, and this is usually why a lot of you guys are seeing score fluctuations. Okay, because what got you here is not going to get you there. I'm gonna say that again. What got you here is not what's going to get you there. Okay. For example, if you are even if you're a 500 score, what made you a 500 score is clearly not going to make you a 600 or 700. And the opposite is true too. What made you a 700 is not what's going to get you to 800. Okay. So let's go ahead and break that down. What does that mean? So let's say, for example, you're rebuilding credit or building credit. Most of us are going to start building credit with a credit card. Okay. So is it safe to say that when you get a credit card that you're going to go ahead and then get another credit card simply because you have you've seen a few points from just having that credit card, right? So that's what most people do. They get a credit card, it gives them a certain amount of points, and then they do, guess what, they get another credit card, right? And so they keep that same fashion until they start getting different offers, or until they start making different moves in their lives, like buying a car, or taking out a personal loan, whatever that case is. Okay. And that will actually hurt your score, having too many accounts of the same type. I know this may seem like it's slightly confusing, but guys, unfortunately, it's almost like they want it to be. Okay. But here, I'm gonna break this down and I'm gonna let you guys know exactly what you need to do. When you are starting out, you want to have at least 5 to 8 accounts. Okay. This does not have to happen like overnight where you got 5 credit cards or 8 credit cards. No, no, no. You want to have five within a certain time. So some accounts can be open, some accounts can be closed, but you want to at least have about 5 to 8 accounts that are on your credit report. Now, if you're going to go for an 850 score, you need to have about anywhere between about 7 to 9 accounts for on an average of 8 to 11 years. Okay, we'll save that for another video, but I wanted you guys to understand that small piece because even if you wanted to get an 800 or 850 credit score, that's the highest that you can get, you have to have an average of 8 to 11 years on these accounts. Okay. So that's huge. All right. But then the question is, what type of accounts should I have? Let's go into it. You can have really as many credit cards as you want. The problem is the time frame in which that you get them. Okay, so let's say, for example, you get a credit card when you're just now starting out building your credit, no matter where you are, right? And then you get got two, and you got a fifth one. Guys, I've met people with 20 credit cards and their credit scores. I've seen people with 20 credit cards in the 800s. I've seen people with 20 credit cards in the 500s. Okay. So that's going to be management. That's another video. Okay. But at the same time, it depends on when you are applying for those credit cards. Okay. So with this credit mix going down again to that 5 to 8 account window, you want to have at least about 3 to 4 credit cards in that mix. Okay. So now you're probably saying, well, Calvin, listen, I do not want to have a certain amount of credit cards, and that's fine. You don't necessarily have to have that, but you're more than likely going to make that up with other accounts as well too. Keep in mind, everything doesn't have to be open. With credit cards, we want those to be open because credit cards essentially is what's going to help us get to 50 possible. To, I won't say impossible, but it's difficult to get past 800 without having any credit cards. Why? Because for one, you need to have at least 8 to 11 years. So think about it. When was the last time you had an auto loan that you had for 8 years? Exactly. I'm talking about the loan itself. Most auto loans are 5 years, 6 years, and in some states they've allowed 7 years as well too. But for the most part, you usually have your car for 4 to 6 years. You pay it off, you go to the next card, and you just simply move on to the next card, right? And then so that's typically how that goes. Same thing, unless you have a mortgage, now you're talking 30 plus years, okay? So that's going to play a major role into this as well too, all right? So now, when you have, let's say, a few credit cards, you're going to have usually the card that you had when you first start building credit, or maybe when you started rebuilding your credit. So that's going to be that card. Then you're going to have another tier credit card. That's usually like a Capital One Platinum, a Bank of America card, a Chase Freedom, something like that, a Discover It, something like that. And then you're going to have your higher end credit cards like a Barclays, a Navy Federal, something like that, where the limits is a little bit stronger as well too. Okay. Now, when you have that mix, the next thing that you want to do is say, okay, how am I managing this mix, right? So that means that if you have a certain amount of credit cards, how many credit cards do you have on auto pay? That is the number one killer for people when they have a certain amount of credit cards and they're trying to manually keep up with all of these bills. Do not do that. Just simply put them on auto pay. And at minimum, put the minimum payment on. That way, at least you know you're going to have the minimum payment, assuming that you can afford that. And then you don't have to worry about if it's going to get paid on time. See, the biggest thing is not people not having the money. The biggest thing is people not paying their stuff on time. Okay. So you won't have to worry about that. But again, as long as you have that right credit mix, you will be fine. So now we got 3 to 4, credit cards in that mix, right? Now, where the other accounts are going to come from? Well, this is going to come from just living life, right? So you may end up getting an auto loan. Now that's your fifth account. So you have an auto loan. Most people typically have an auto loan. There's nothing wrong with paying cash for a vehicle either. However, typically when you pay cash for a vehicle, number one, we again, man, I got so many ideas for different videos, but either way, but typically when you are paying cash for a vehicle, not only will you have to worry about maintenance and things of that sort at some point, it's usually not the best investment to pay cash for a car unless it's like a car that's like your first car or a beater car or a car that's like under 10 grand. If it's under 10 grand, pay cash for it. Under 15 grand, that's cool. But anything like more than that, man, I'm telling you, just buy a used. Okay. I'm telling you, for 6 years of selling cars, you may want to buy a used. With that said, now you have that auto loan, right? And so now that auto loan is going to give you 4 years, 5 years, 3 years if it's a lease, 2 years if it's a lease, right? Or you may go 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years, depending on how many miles are on it, what the price point is, right? But either way, that auto loan is going to be your fifth account. Now, if you have student loans, you already know, right? That's going to be added to your mix as well. If you have any personal loans, that's going to be added to your mix as well. If you have a mortgage, which is a house, that's going to be added to your mix as well. Okay. And so there's only two types of accounts that essentially build your credit. Now, really, there's three types, and that's utility bills. Okay. So that is a mix, but it's not revolving, but that will count as a mix. Okay. The algorithm, though, is really looking for borrowed money paid back. Again, it's looking for borrowed money that you are going to pay back. Okay. So when they're looking for those types of things, they want to make sure that you can say, okay, I've borrowed X amount of dollars. I'm going to pay X amount of dollars. And banks love to see that. So much so that's why they're in cahoots with the credit scores. Okay, so the algorithm is designed to make banks happy. The banks are happy because the algorithm is designed to do so. Okay. So it's a win win scenario for them. They're saying, hey, give people a few more points if they have X amount of accounts, but make sure it's a good mix. And then that means you obviously got to get these accounts from financial institutions. Okay. I know the game is a certain way, but that's just how it goes. Okay. Now, keep in mind, too, out of those, let me go back to the account types. We talked about utility bills. That's so that now that's another piece. Rental history, that's another piece as well. However, it's not borrowed money paid back. It helps you build your credit score, but it's not borrowed money paid back. Now, you can also have different types of credit cards, right? Now, we're not talking about secured and unsecured. We're talking about retail and non retail. Non retail is like a Capital One card, Capital One Platinum. You could use it anywhere, right? A Visa or MasterCard is accepted, right? But also, you have retail cards like a Home Depot card or a, I don't know, wherever you guys may shop at, right? And so those particular cards are usually where you can only use them at the merchant. Now, I don't recommend too many of these type of accounts, only way to build credit with those types of accounts is simply going to be if you spend money with the retailer. Okay, so if you have a GameStop, credit card, the only way you can use that card is if you what buy something from GameStop. If you have a Macy's credit card, right? For those of the states who have Macy's, and for those of you who don't travel much, everybody ain't got no Macy's. Okay, I'm from down south. I grew up with Dillard's and stuff like that. Now Macy's is that's hey, that's new for me. But either way, but if you have like a Macy's card or something like that, you can only build credit if you have that Macy's card. So keep those things in mind as you are building your credit over time, because again, banks are looking for that good mix. They want you to have credit cards. They want you to have retail credit cards. They want you to have things that end in the word loan. So student loan, mortgage loan, personal loan, auto loan. Those types of loans, that's going to help you build your credit as well. Don't force this stuff, guys. Most of this stuff is going to happen just through natural life. You're going to have a couple credit cards just through naturally living your life. You're going to go to the checkout line, and that person's going to ask you because they get paid commission to do so, or it's a part of their job to do so to get a certain amount of applications, and saying, "Hey, would you like to put that on your Kohl's card? Would you like to put that on your Macy's card?" Right? It's all a tactic. Okay, you're gonna end up getting an auto loan. You may or may not go to college and have student loans. You're more than likely going to end up having a mortgage, right? So those are natural things that's going to happen. Then you have accounts that close that are still on your account. For example, credit cards that you started off with and then things didn't go so well, but now that account is part of that mix, right? That house that you bought, but now you're about to buy another house. That closed account stays on your credit report for 7 years. That falls into your mix. That auto loan that you said you was going to trade in, yeah, that account, once that's closed, is going to be staying on your credit report for at least 7 years from the last payment date. That falls into your credit mix. The reason why so many people are struggling with their credit scores, one of the reasons is simply because they don't have enough accounts. Some of you guys don't have enough accounts, okay? And here's the thing. You're probably thinking, well, how do I build my credit? How can I get credit done faster? I got to this point with a couple of credit cards. I thought that if I get a couple more credit cards, then my score is going to go up. No, because it's looking for a different mix, guys. You got to have the mix, okay? What's so great about this mix, you already know, is that in my advanced credit blueprint, I show you exactly what type of accounts that you can get that your credit mix. Okay, what credit cards are going to give you the likelihood of an approval based on your credit score? I have that inside of my blueprint. What account as you're on your journey to try to qualify for these things? Because let's be honest, not everybody watching this is going to qualify for some of those things. And like, man, I wish I can get a credit mix. You can, but you got to start somewhere, guys. Okay. Banks will give you more once you show them you can handle what they've given you. I'm going to say that again. Banks will give you more once you show that you can handle what they've already given you. It has to make sense. You can't say, "Hey, bank, let me borrow $500, not pay the 500, and then get mad when you go try to apply for something that costs $1,000. Fam, you didn't pay the 500. Okay, you're saying, "Hey, bank, give me $20,000 for this car. I promise you, I'm gonna pay it this time." Fam, you didn't pay the last car. We need to see you pay somebody, right? Treat it like a family member. You let them borrow $100, and then the member swings back around the next time and say, hey, can I borrow another $100? Fam, you ain't gave me back the other $100. Like, you're building a track record, okay? The same, again, you're doing the same exact thing. You just don't see the bank at the family reunion. You just don't see the bank on Facebook. Okay, I'm telling you, you just don't see it. So because of that, you're passing that stuff by, but you're not by yourself. As a matter of fact, you have a game plan customly made for you, and that's going to be inside of my advanced credit blueprint, guys. So make sure you go ahead and grab that advanced credit blueprint. As a matter of fact, I got it right down at the bottom. I also have some free ebooks as well for you as well too, to help you along your credit journey, guys. But how a lot of my clients have improved their credit scores the right way, improved their credit scores, qualified for home ownership, rental property ownership, lowered their car payments, got higher limit credit cards, and essentially just accomplishing their credit and financial goals is simply because they had guidance. And that guidance is through my advanced credit blueprint, guys. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. And of course, guys, if you guys like this video, go ahead and like it. If you want to share it, share it. And as always, be sure to subscribe and follow, as we got nothing but great content well on the way. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a good one.